Well, another ad that is attracting attention and controversy comes from the Republican challenger to 8th District Congressman Rick Nolan. In the ad, Stewart Mills accuses Rick Nolan of voting to take away gun owners' rights.
Around election time, Rick will put on his hunter's orange and grab a rifle, but in Washington, he's repeatedly voted to take away your rights. I'm Stewart Mills. I approve this message because I'll defend the Second Amendment always.
Minnesota's 8th congressional district seat has been one of the most unpredictable in the nation in recent years, with Republican Chip Kravac beating longtime incumbent Jim Oberstar in 2010, and then Democrat Rick Nolan beat Kravac in 2012. This year, Stewart Mills is mounting a well-financed challenge to Nolan that is receiving national attention, and Stewart Mills is joining us now. Thank you so much for coming.
It is absolutely wonderful to be here. Thank you for having me.
Let me ask you about this ad, because you've run several ads that address the Second Amendment and gun issues. Is this really a campaign about who loves guns more?
No, it's a campaign about Rick Nolan's record and his F rating from the NRA, and he's more than earned that failing grade. The first time that he was in Congress, he actually voted in favor of a bill that would have created a national gun registry, and then he advocated for banning small and medium-sized handguns. Now in this Congress, he has repeated himself again by calling for a ban on semi-automatic rifles based on the fact that Rick thinks they look scary, and to have the government tell us how many bullets we can have in our guns. And then he voted on an amendment, in favor of an amendment, to expand background checks. That was so poorly conceived, it would have violated Americans' due process rights, causing them to lose, in some cases, their Second Amendment rights.
Right. Well, you know, one of the things the ad suggests is that there have been numerous votes. Really, the only vote, actually, that he's taken is that one that would have expanded background checks, and that's something that you feel would have violated the Second Amendment.
No, he voted, first of all, in favor in the first term in Congress for a national gun registry, and then to vote for
36 years ago.
Yes, but it's repeated behavior.
Okay. In terms of this issue, do you feel this is the most significant issue, the defining issue of this particular race?
It's one of the three. The first is jobs and the economy. We have disproportionately high unemployment in our part of Minnesota, and it's actually not just unemployment, but it's the employment rate. We have thousands of our friends and neighbors that have given up looking for work altogether. Also, it's repealing and replacing Obamacare with a free market alternative that actually works. The purpose of health care reform is to bring down cost and increase access. The Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, has done the exact opposite. And then people in our part of the world, they want people standing up for their rights and liberties, including their Second Amendment rights.
All right, let me ask you about cash for clunkers and the Obama stimulus plan. You have been very critical of the stimulus plan, but yet there's been a lot of coverage about the fact that your auto dealership actually benefited from the cash for clunkers deal that was provided by the federal government. How do you respond to that? Isn't that hypocritical of you?
Well, my family is in the car business, and I did have a front row seat to the fiasco that was cash for clunkers. We spent $1.4 million for every job that was created under cash for clunkers, and nobody's been able to prove any of those jobs have been sustained.
But you got $3 million under the cash for clunkers program.
The customers did, and if you were in the car business, you had to go along with cash for clunkers. Otherwise, you would have lost your customers. And all that cash for clunkers did is it didn't increase the size of the pie. All it did was rob from future sales. Okay. It was a bad program then, and it most certainly has proven to be a bad program now.
I want to ask you quickly, there are a lot of pictures circulating around the internet of you looking at certainly a non-traditional congressional candidate. One of them from a number of years ago is you actually drinking out of a beer bong. What do you say to people who kind of look at this and say, this isn't my idea of what a congressman is supposed to behave like?
Well, I have lived a very joyful life, that's for sure. But what people care about isn't the fact that I chugged a beer 7 years ago. What they care about is creating jobs from Main Street on up, not from Wall Street or Washington, D.C. on down. They care about having real health care reform.
All right, you have actually leading Rick Nolan's latest financing in terms of fundraising efforts. One of the reasons that people think that you've done so well is you've gotten national attention for, of all things, being labeled the Brad Pitt of the GOP in several articles in Politico. We've got the split screen here. Your thoughts about this label that has gotten a lot of attention?
It's fun. It's a humorous diversion from a very serious campaign, and we have very serious issues of job creation, of repealing and replacing Obamacare, replacing it with something that actually works, and standing up for our rights and our liberties, including our Second Amendment freedoms.
All right. Well, Stewart Mills, we want to thank you so much for coming down from Nisswa, a beautiful place to visit that you actually live in. And I do also want to say that Rick Nolan, have asked him to be a guest on a later program. But thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.